What's up, everyone? Thralls of Metal back again. I am Shredlord.
Necrotic Nick.
And we are here to bring you yet another kick-ass album review. This time, we are going over the band Worm's recent release, Foreverglade.
This comes out on the 22nd of October on 20 Buck Spin, which that label has been fucking killing it this year. Band formed in 2012 in Florida, in case you didn't get the connection with the name of the album. It's pretty clever. This is their third full-length overall. Now, this, I believe, started off as mostly a one-man project and started off as more black metal-centric. And then, over time and over the course of figuring out their dark, sludgy sound, probably somewhere in the swamps, because this is swampy, they shifted more towards death doom and almost funeral doom. And again, technically this is one man, but it has two men listed on this, and the other guy is playing keyboards on here, which synths are a big part of this. And the biggest thing on here, I would say, is atmosphere. Atmosphere is a giant part of this album. This is steeped in all the negative emotions that could possibly fit into 44 minutes worth of death doom.
Oh my god, it's just sadness. Then you're smacked with being pissed off, and then you're smacked with sadness again. It's all over the map, but in a good way. It mixes a lot of the best elements of death and doom and even some funeral. The atmosphere damn near rivals the guitars as much as 50-50, I'd say, as far as driving the songs. There's even spots where I would feel like maybe they overpowered.
There are some spots, I will definitely say that. They really like that big, lush, clean tone on top of big chugging riffs and slow chugging riffs. This is mostly, of course, kind of slow because it is death doom, but there are some more up-tempo sections just kind of pockmarked in there, and I kind of like how they're thrown in there because you're not expecting them when they come in. Like, you don't think this is ever going to pick up speed, and then it does. But the clean tones and the synths, which when it opens up with the title track, Foreverglade, which is also listed as an intro, but it's a pretty long song for an intro.
Longest
don't call it
intro
an intro
ever.
Don't call it an intro. It's a song. But what you hear, it starts off with those clean tones, the drums come in, but in the background you hear like kind of like airy synths, and there might be voices. I don't know. It's creepy.
They were priming us for what's to come. I think I critiqued this song because I felt like it wasn't as strong as some of the others, but now when I'm looking back at it after the second listen, I feel like it wasn't supposed to be. This is the setup to the rest of the album. So it kind of changed my thought pattern from what I originally thought. This is a good way to start because it slowly opens the door and just is doomy as hell. And you have no idea what's about to come in these next 5 songs after. And it's a much pleasant surprise. But here it just kind of lulls you in a little bit. Dip a toe, if you will.
But you're dipping a toe in like slimy, swampy stuff. There's probably alligators and snapping turtles that'll bite them off. So be careful where you dip that toe.
Well, that's where the death comes in.
Definitely death, or at least agonizing wounds. But like, the cool thing about this album, as we listen to it, it really sort of just kind of opens itself up with every track. Like, every track is a step towards some different soundscapes. The opening couple of songs are kind of just the straightforward death doom songs. Again, a little bit of that funeral dirge, but the funeral dirge does pop up kind of, you know, as a uniform thing, especially in the last track, Centuries of Ooze, which I love that title, because we figured out the secret of the ooze years ago when we watched the movie.
Yeah.
So we're no strangers to ooze. And Murk Above the Dark Moor, both of those kind of have that flat out funeral doom sort of sound, like evoking, esoteric, but mixing a little bit of like early Paradise Lost and My Dying Bride. And that was kind of an interesting thing. Like, the more I listened to it, the more I couldn't grasp that this band was from Florida.
If it is a one-man band and he does the guitar playing, holy Jesus mother of ball sacks. This guy's awesome because, as a lover of guitar, this guy's favorite guitarist is clearly Yngwie Malmsteen, who is also one of my favorite guitar players. And it's a really cool mix to hear Yngwie Malmsteen type leads, and they're nice and melodic, they're powerful, they're fluid, over this death doom. You don't hear that rarely ever. And not only to hear it, but to hear it pulled off so well, that alone added such a unique and special element to this album that I really, really, really can't stress to you guys enough how much I enjoyed.
When I jammed Gloomlord forever ago, I remember you actually came downstairs like, dude, what are you jamming?
Yeah.
Those leads are fucking amazing.
Gross.
And that is sort of a carryover from the last one, Gloomlord, which I think is fantastic. I think this one is an improvement, not only in terms of incorporating melody, but also in terms of production and just the overall atmosphere of it. Like, this is a more in-depth listen, and it takes some time to kind of like break out of those moods too. Like, granted, the mood on this is dark and foreboding for the most part, but when you get down to Empire of the Necromancers and
Sabaquius Funeral, I'm guessing that's mine.
Yeah,
I would say maybe that's one of my favorite tracks because it's this non-cheesy, sad ballad type song. It's very somber, but the leads and the melodies and the guitar on here is just holy shit. It's mesmerizing, man. It is one of the strong points of this entire album, even though it technically isn't like, you know, packed full of energy as some of the rest of the songs or some of the rest of the parts.
It's softer. Like, well, it starts off softer, and it does bring in, like, of course, the heavy vocals, which the vocals
that gives it
good.
more of an epic feel, though.
But, you know, the vocals kind of stick with, like, you know, the low growls and the high screams, and I think it's just the one dude doing it, and he's got a good switch off there. But the music itself almost kind of feels like a doom-laden cynic. Like, it's just way more melodic and sort of airy. It sort of just kind of floats there. And then those leads come in, which they're harmonized, they're gorgeous, they're loaded with feel, they are technically fucking marvelous.
Super sound.
And just that weird contrast between those leads and, you know, the more doomy nature of all these riffs, because when it comes down to, like, the riffs on here, they are flat out bleak and ugly and dirty sounding. But it's that weird contrast that really gets me, especially on Empire of Necromancers, where one of the most melodic songs, at least in terms of at that point before we got to Sabaquius Funeral, this song actually brought in some dynamics that don't really appear any other place on this album. As it goes on, it's more melodic. It has almost, again, kind of that Paradise Lost feel, and like gothic, very gothic. It has that sort of romanticized gothic, except for, you know, there's like Swamp Thing puking his guts up into a microphone. But when you get to around the middle of the song, it takes a hard turn into like straight up death metal sections, and it's like double time, kind of bolt thrower chug, and then all of a sudden they remind us that they used to be a black metal band. There's a little bit of like dissection in there, like kind of a thrashy, you know, blast beat in there, and some of the most interesting melodies in terms of the guitar work, because they are unlike anything else on the album. Just tremolos and just really catchy. So, like, towards the middle of this album was honestly my biggest surprise, because at that point, granted, it was changing slowly, that was abrupt. And I really kind of dug that.
It was there. All of a sudden, it was there, and it was badass.
This album is, again, like, strangely hooky, but foul and murky. Like, I'm pretty sure there was some green ooze coming out of the speaker as we were listening to it. I don't know if that's normal, but it was unsettling. And when you get down to the last track, Centuries of Ooze, swear to God, it is like the funeral for Swamp Thing. It is...
Why am I dripping with goo?
It's gross, and it just sounds like, you know, like people carrying a casket through a swamp. It's just foul. And honestly, I can't think of a better month to release something like this than October, this close to Halloween, because this is just foul. In terms of negatives, honestly, musically, I have no complaints about this. I like the mix, but sometimes I think the keyboards get a little too out front and the guitars feel a little pushed back. But outside of that, this is just wonderfully dark and brooding, and yeah, I dig it. I dig the fuck out of this, in fact. So overall, I am going to give this 4.5 stars. This is an absolutely killer album. Very immersive. Like, you can get lost in this. And, you know, don't get too lost in all the dark emotions, and just listen to it, because this is just bleak. You won't feel anything positive, well, than the fact you love metal. But perma stank face on pretty much every moment on here. It's just a really wild listen, and just layered so well, and those leads are just fantastic. Check this out. I mean, if you were a fan of their previous work, I see this as further growth. So definitely check it out.
I also have to give this a 4.5 out of 5. This is the kind of album that you can roll a joint or three and really take it in and be mesmerized by what you're hearing, man. The slower pace to mid pace of the album really lets you be a burnout and be able to pay attention, right?
Yeah, man.
But what they were serving you is an excellent blend of death, doom, funeral doom, incredibly epic melodic leads. I would agree with Nick when I'd say maybe my only gripe is some slight production issue on one thing, being the keys, but that's, once again, just kind of a personal taste thing. So this is a solid ass album. I vaguely remember hearing the leads from the second album and digging it, but upon second listen here, this is fabulous. This is like possibly some year-end super strong type stuff.
Yeah,
so
this is getting more difficult with every release.
This year has been an excellent year for metal releases. This is everything that sucked about 2020 we're getting made up with by these bomb-ass releases, and what a fucking joy.
Yeah.
So, if you liked the review, please hit the like and subscribe button. If you are not subscribed to our channel, we would greatly appreciate it. It would also let you know when we put out new videos, which is pretty much all the time. Also, if you'd like to support a couple shitheads like us who like to talk about metal, there's a link below to our Patreon. Also, if you'd like to get dressed up in our love all over your body, you can send an email to thrallsofmetal@gmail.com with the title shirts, and we will send you out an invoice. So, as a wise rat once said, go ninja, go ninja, go ninja, go. I made another funny. Ha 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 ha. We'll catch you guys later.